Do I look cute? So today is a great day in the neighborhood for a number of reasons. We are going to take a trip down memory lane. I'm gonna take you to my elementary, middle, and high school. I'm gonna take you to the houses I grew up in. And we're just gonna kind of do an unplanned day together of me showing you guys my hometown. My sister actually thought of this idea because I was just gonna do like a 24 hours in my hometown video, and I was like, that kind of seems boring. She suggested that I do this type of video, so that's what we're gonna do. And the second reason I'm so excited is because I'm finally going to look at land in So I'm leaving tonight and I look at it tomorrow afternoon. So after this video is posted, the next video is gonna be showing you the place that I love, the place that I hope to buy land on, and the place I hope to put a house on. Let's go take a trip down memory lane or whatever. Okay, so we've just arrived to the neighborhood that I began my first walks of life. And yeah, this is it. Okay, I'm gonna have to be quick here, but I'm gonna pan over. This is Debbie's house. And this is the bird house. This is the first house that I grew up in, and I'll tell you a story about it. Oh, fuck. Hey. I look like I have my pajamas on and I just put this robe on and I'm like walking around the house, except I don't have a house. All I have is a van, but anyway. Ugh. So the first house that I lived in, we called the bird house, and we called it the bird house because it was tiny and blue like a bird's house. I came from very humble beginnings. As you can see by these houses, they're very tiny. They're not in the greatest neighborhood in the world, but I will say this. I don't ever remember wanting or needing anything ever, and that's the most important thing to me, you know? Like, sure, I didn't have the nicest roof over my head for the first 5 years of my life, but I had everything I needed, so it wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't even think anything of it. When I was younger, it seemed like a normal house to me. I had to take my jacket off because it's a little, toasty in here. Anyways, my fondest memory in this house was not actually at the house. It was next door at my, I mean, I guess since she's my mom's age, you could call her my mom's friend, but she was really my friend. I was 2 at the time and I loved her. I used to go over the house all the time. I remember eating the dog's food. I remember drinking the little half and half creamer out of the fridge. I remember making cereal with the half and half. I loved that. I know that sounds disgusting, but I just liked it. I remember that she had a garden in the back and I loved going to the garden, but it was gated, so I couldn't go in there unless I had permission. Oh, I remember being so freaking hot one time. I was in her daughter's room and we were sleeping in the same bed next to each other, but I am the literal biggest sissy when it comes to being in the dark, especially when I was younger. I mean, I'm better about it now, but being in the dark terrified me. And I used to sleep with the TV on, and she used to sleep in the pitch black, so we had to sleep in the pitch black when I was sleeping next to her. And I remember being so freaking hot one time, and I couldn't get myself to like get up or do anything about it because I was so scared of the dark that I wanted to stay under the covers. So I was just sweating balls one time, and I guess maybe I just fell back asleep and woke up in the morning and everything was okay. But I just remember waking up and being so freaking hot. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. So I'm driving past my house and back past Debbie's house. That's Debbie's house right there, and then David's house is right next to hers. David is her son. Okay, now let's truck along to the next location. Okay, so this is the brick house. It's 1 street over from the bird house, and I think I lived here from like maybe 3 to 5 or so. My sister was living in that house. I remember because she was really excited one time and she ran into my parents' room. I don't even remember what her excitement was over. I think she was trying to hide from me and my mom. I don't even remember, but she was like, she ran into the room really quick, started jumping on the bed, and she busted her middle of her forehead open, and she looked like Harry Potter for quite some time, and blood was gushing everywhere. I remember being totally freaked out. She had a scar. She might still have a scar there. I'm not really sure. I'll have to ask her. But she had a scar there for a really long time. She was 2 years old at the time, I think, and I was right around 5. This house here is a couple of doors down from the house that I was living in. A girl by the name of Jen and a boy by the name of David lived there, and those were my friends. And I think David was my age and Jen was a little bit older, maybe a couple of years older. And I remember a couple of things. One, I don't know why, but it's crazy to think about the memories that you have. And this one memory I have was I was playing with them outside and I got a little speck of dirt on my shirt, and I was such a little brat that I had to go home and change my shirt because I got dirt on my shirt. I also remember having this fake marriage with David on the side of my parents' house, and I think Jen was the person who married us, if I'm remembering correctly, but I faintly remember us actually kissing. Another memory I have is at this creek here, David and I collected a bunch of caterpillars. I mean, this creek was overpopulated with caterpillars. We got this giant bucket of caterpillars, and mind you, before I finish this story, this is not a fond memory that I am proud of because it's disgusting and just not right, but anyways, I'm gonna tell it. We collected a big bucket of caterpillars, and we thought for some reason it would be a great idea to go back to my parents' house, go to the side of the house where we got married, and we took the bucket, we dumped it over, and we smashed the caterpillars until they were all dead. Don't ask me why we did that, because I couldn't even do that nowadays, and I know they're just bugs, but that's just fucking evil. Okay, let's move along to the next location. There's my elementary school, Fairlawn Elementary School. Wow. Looks the same as I remember it. The exact same. It doesn't look like they've updated a day in their life since 1997. Actually, you know what? They have that little rec center in the back. That wasn't there whenever I was going to school. Now, at Fairlawn Elementary School, I was still, you know, I was 5 years old, you know, 5 to 6 years old when I went to this school. But I do remember a few things. I remember having Gigapets. I remember that being really cool. And I also remember having this crazy enjoyment for breaking crayons in half. I remember I had a ton of crayons broken. I'm talking hundreds of crayons broken in half. So that turns into multiple hundreds of crayons broken in half, because once one crayon is broken in half, it makes 2 crayons. So anyways, I remember having so many crayons that my teacher took some of my crayons and put them in separate boxes and put them in the middle of every group's table because I had too many crayons. I also remember lying to my teacher and telling her that I rode the bus, when all year I had never ridden the bus, and she knew that I didn't ride the bus. But the kids that ride the bus get to leave before the kids that don't ride the bus so that they don't miss the bus. I was impatient and I didn't want to wait, so I lied and I got caught. And then my mom came and I got in trouble. I also remember getting in trouble because I wanted to play with this puzzle, and we were only allowed to play with the puzzle for a certain period of time. And I wasn't done playing with that puzzle, but I had to stop playing with the puzzle because the teacher said so. So what I did was I snuck the puzzle in my bag and I brought it home. Well, I brought the puzzle back. I didn't intend on stealing it forever, but the teacher noticed that the puzzle was stolen, and in front of the entire class, she went through everybody's bag and found the puzzle in my bag and embarrassed me. She taught me a lesson. I never took anything after that. I also remember that we had nap time, and nap time was a 30-minute period where we would rest our heads on the desk and nap. We didn't have a spot that we could sleep on the floor. We didn't have mats. We didn't have blankets. We just had to rest our head on the desk for 30 minutes. And I remember never being tired because I was just always very energetic. And so I would pretend to sleep like this. I had my head in between my hands and I would just pretend to sleep, because the longer that you slept, the more candy was put in front of you. So that was like her ploy to get people to sleep more, was to, like, every 5 minutes or so come around with a piece of candy and set it there. So for every 5 minutes that you slept, you got a new piece of candy. If you didn't sleep, you didn't get the candy. What a genius she was, because I was like, I'm getting all the candy. Okay, let's move on to our next destination. Okay, we're rolling up on Woodstock Elementary School. All the buses line up there at the end of the day, and we hop on the bus and we ride out. We come out of those doors there. This actually was remodeled the same year that I graduated 5th grade, so I spent like almost a full year in the remodeled version of this school. Now this is the elementary school that I went to from 1st to 5th grade. It's called Woodstock Elementary School. I remember my mom always forgetting to give me lunch money, so that was really an issue when I got into the lunch line. I also remember my mom would overpack my lunch thinking that I ate like a wild barbarian and I would hardly ever be able to eat even a quarter of it. You know, she would pack gummy bears, crackers, chips, a sandwich, a Capri Sun or whatever juice box, candy, I don't even remember, and a little fruit parfait probably sometimes, and it would all be packed in the same lunch for this tiny little child. But a lot of times my friends just took the food and they ate it because they weren't given enough food, so that worked out that way. I also remember being in chorus, and I remember singing, I think it was around Christmas time, or maybe it wasn't around Christmas time at all, but I remember having a little solo and singing on stage. Nowadays, you don't want to hear me sing because your eardrums might pop, but I wish I could sing. Do I have any other memories? Oh, my parents forgot to come to my elementary school graduation. That was kind of sad. I was one of the only kids without a parent at their graduation. Okay, anyways, let's move on to the next place. We're gonna go to the house that I grew up in when I went to elementary, middle, and high school. My friend used to live back in that little house back there. I wonder if her dad still lives there. I bought a couch for $200 at that house. It was a really nice couch too. So after the birdhouse and after the brick house, we then moved into this house. I gotta be kind of discreet because this is really obvious. This house right here with the Lexus in front of it. Oh my God, so many memories. I grew up in this house from 1st grade until I think my senior year of high school. Anyway, let me turn the camera off. This is awkward. So as you can see, from the first 2 houses that I lived in, they were very, very, very small. And my dad decided to take the leap of faith and start a concrete company. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but his concrete company took off and we left that second brick house that you saw and we moved into this nice big house on the water. Now this house, I probably have the most memories, but I don't want to go into crazy detail because this video will probably be annoyingly long and just too much, I guess. But I remember having this big playroom and I used to play Polly Pockets and I would spend probably an hour and a half or 2 hours setting up this entire Polly Pocket neighborhood with, you know, you would set up the little dresses and the little clothes in the closet and you would set up the Polly Pockets, and it took a long time, and you would make this little village and it looked really cool. And after I was done, I didn't do anything with it. I just set it all up, made it look really cool, and then I had to put it away. I also remember being so incredibly spoiled at this house. I think my parents' business just took off so much that maybe they just didn't know what to do with the money. We would go shopping all of the time. I mean, I had so many clothes that they literally took this little attic that they had next to the playroom, and my room was behind it, and they took the wall out and made an addition to my bedroom so that I would have a separate closet because I had too many clothes and they didn't fit anywhere. I also remember having my very first dog pass away in the backyard, and that was a very sad time for me. His name was Bear, and he was freaking awesome. He was a great dog. He was a big black Akita. He was so cool. I remember wanting a golf cart for some reason. I just loved driving. I think my dad had taken me to golf, and I liked driving the golf cart more than I liked actually golfing. I thought driving was so fun that I asked for a golf cart one year. Of course, my parents didn't buy it for me. So my dad opted to get me an electric scooter. It was a little yellow scooter, and at the time I loved SpongeBob so much that I had a locker in middle school dedicated completely to SpongeBob. So my parents knew that I loved SpongeBob so much that they thought that yellow would be the appropriate color. Now I kicked and screamed like a little spoiled brat that I was because I didn't get the golf cart. Who does that? I would have smacked my own ass if I was my parents. Okay, anyway, let's go on to the next place. So this is my middle school in all of its glory. It's called Kempsville Middle School. It's only 1 story, so it's a pretty long middle school. As you can see, we are still trekking along here all the way until, okay, here. I was was on a dance team of maybe 12 to 15 girls and one guy. The dance instructor's son was also on the dance team, and I was the only white girl on that dance team, but I knew just how to shake my ass, so I fit right in. Oh, I do remember being in the drama club, like being in acting and doing those little thing. I also remember having a boyfriend who came to see me at one of my like drama recital things, and I broke up with him when he came to see me for another boy. That shit was not even right. Okay, let's move on to the next location. Okay, here's my high school, Kempsville High School, class of 2010, baby. To ride down the whole thing. But this is my high school. I have quite a few memories here. One of my fondest memory, I'll take you over to the specific area. I would say right around this parking spot here. My friend was parked and she was scheduled to get in a fist fight with a female after school. So I thought that it would be fun to fight her friend because I hated her friend. So I got in the one and only fight I've ever been in. You know, we're old and grown now, so things are squashed and life is good, but we were trying to go over this curb here. She had some sort of van, I think it was like a camper van, and she tried to go over the curb, or maybe she was trying to get over that curb over there on that side. I think she got over this one and couldn't get over that one, and we got stuck. So it was so embarrassing because the girls we were going to fight walked past the van while we were stuck over the curb. I remember getting the best dress superlative in 12th grade. That was like really cool for me because I was just like on this kick of never repeating an outfit any day of the week. I don't know what sparked that like desire, but I did that. Maybe because I had so many clothes, I needed to utilize them. I also remember having a boyfriend in 9th grade who was on the baseball team, and I went to his games and I used to watch his baseball games. That was fun. And then I fell in love in 11th grade to a man named Nathan, and I was with him for like 5 years. I remember getting my first car at 16. It was a 1997 Ford Explorer. And you know how they call Ford Explorers Ford Exploders? Well, that's exactly what mine did. It exploded. And then I got an Ultima Coupe shortly after, and I was paying a lot of money every month for that thing. So I was car poor. I will say that. I was car poor, and I learned quickly that being car poor is no fun. So I gave that car to my mom and I started driving a beater. Let's go and show you where my first job was. So this is Menino's Italian Bistro. This was my first job. The reason that I got this job was because my parents opened a dance studio. I danced when I was younger, all growing up through elementary school, middle, and high school, and one of the dance teachers ended up having a falling out with the owner of the dance studio I was taking classes at, and so my parents decided it would be a great opportunity to open a dance studio and hire her as a dance teacher because she was a great dance teacher. So I was hosting on the weekends, and that was my very first job. My paychecks were like $60 to $100 every 2 weeks, and I spent that shit quick. Okay, this is Avondale Apartments. This was my very first apartment. I loved this apartment. It was relatively new. I only signed a 6-month lease because I wasn't sure where I really wanted to be, but I wish I would have signed a longer lease, but I didn't. And at the end of the lease, they told me that my rent was gonna go up like $100-something, and I couldn't afford it at the time. So this was my first apartment complex. It had a garage attached. It was a 1-bedroom, but the garage was attached in the way that like the stairs led up to your apartment from the inside. So your apartment was upstairs and your garage was downstairs. So it was kind of like a mini townhome. I'm gonna see if I can find which apartment was mine. I'm almost sure I can. It should be down here at the end from what I remember. Also, this is right next to a dump, so the beautiful smells of garbage fumigated the air on a regular basis. Oh, this one actually was the one that I stayed in. I'm almost positive, the one with the Jeep in front of it. And that was my apartment. Okay, we're coming up on her. It's this little court here. Wow, they got lots of cars. I hope that you can see it in the camera. Yep, there she is. In all her glory. That was my very first house I bought. Wow. And I think that's all I have for you guys today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment maybe your favorite aspect of my childhood. Subscribe if you haven't already. And maybe share this with a friend. Turn your post notifications on or whatever YouTubers are supposed to say. And have a lovely day, and I'll see you in the next one. And hopefully it's talking about where I'm buying land, which is in... Love you guys. Bye. Bye.